Hey fellow problem solvers, Colfax Math here. Today we're going to do a video on percentages. It is a practice exam for the Hesi A2. That's the nurse placement exam. It is a great standardized math test, like all math tests. If you're studying for the ASVAB or anything else, this is also a great practice test to do. What I'd highly recommend you do is have a notebook and pencil out in front of you. Watch the question. Do the best you can, try and do the question the best you can with the video paused, unpause the video, and watch how I do the problem. Today we're going to primarily work on percentages. This is lesson 3 of the playlist, and if some of the stuff doesn't make sense, make sure you've watched lesson 1 and lesson 2 prior to this. All right, with that said, get your notebook and pencil out, and let's go ahead and get started. In this video, we're going to go over percent calculations, percent increase and decrease, simple interest, profit and loss, and price discounts. You could always get more information with this app right here. You could get out the App Store or Google Play, or you could go to this web page as well. Okay, with that said, here's our first problem right here. Pause the video, do the best you can on this problem, unpause the video, watch how I do it. There are a lot of tips and tricks to all standardized math tests, and I'm going to go over some of those. So even if you did it differently, I might go over a way that might be a little quicker or have less mistakes or possibility of mistakes in it. These are all multiple choice answers. So if you can eliminate answers because they don't make any sense, then your likelihood of getting it right goes way up if you have to guess. Okay, first thing I do on this problem right here is I highlight the key points. So let's use a white pencil here. A fruit basket contains 12 apples, 8 oranges, and 5 bananas. What percentage of the fruits are oranges? So I want oranges over the total. Well, that's going to be a fraction. There are 8 oranges over a total of 12 plus 8 plus 5, 25. I look at my answers to see if there's anything near that. I don't see anything. They're all percentages. A percent is going to be of 100. So I could get to 100 by multiplying by something, right? So I want this to be 100. How do I get 25 to 100? I multiply by 4. If I do that on the bottom, I also have to do it on top as well. Now I'm really only multiplying by a factor of 1. Doesn't change the value at all, but it gives me out of 100. So 8 times 4 is 32. So I could see the number of oranges to the total is 32 out of 100, or answer B, 32%. Okay, next problem. What is 10% of 10% of 100? So the way we're going to do that is we could convert them to decimals. 0.1 of means to multiply. So 0.1 times 0.1 times 100. Well, I could think of that as 10% of 100 is 10. 10% of 10 is 1. So the correct answer is answer A. Or I could do 100 times 0.1, right, times 0.1. That's still going to be 100. Then I have to count my decimal place over 1, 2. So I go over 1, 2, and get the same answer, A. Answer 1. Okay, problem number 3. Again, make sure you have your notebook out in front of you. The best way to do these problems is always to do them before I do them. 6 is 25% of a number. What is 50% of the same number? Well, if 6 is 25%, what is 50% of that same number? So this is what I don't know. Very similar to the previous problem. How do I get from 25 to 50? I'd have to multiply by 2. If I'm doing that on the bottom, I also have to do it on the top. So I can see it's 12. So the correct answer, answer A, 12 right there. Number 4, Paula is taking the arithmetic reasoning subtest, which contains 30 questions. So we got a subtest 30 questions. She wants to get at least 25 of those right in order to score well on this exam. So she wants to get 25 of the 30. What percent of the questions does she need to answer correctly? So again, we have what we want over the total. It's fractional. Let me look over at those answers and see if any of them make sense. I can't really eliminate any of them. I do know it's going to be more than 80%, but that's all I know, so I could eliminate the D. The way I convert a fraction to a decimal, I think I got things standing up this way and it falling over to the right. So it falls over this way, and I want to find 30 and a 25. Well, 30 doesn't go into 25, so I have to put a decimal there. 30 goes into 258 times to give me 240. 5 minus 4 is 10. Bring down the next one. 30 goes into 100 3 times. This decimal point goes up, so I have 0.83. It's going to give me 90. And I can see it's going to keep going like that. So it's 83, 3, 3, 3, 3 repeating. The closest answer is 83%. And the way I convert from a decimal to a percent is I go over 1, 2, because it is parts of 100. So correct answer, answer A, 83%. Okay, problem number 5. The car price increased from this amount to this amount over last year's model. What was the approximate percentage increase? So let's figure out how much it increased first. It started at 22,999. No, it didn't. It started at 21,399, and it ended at 22,999. The amount it increased is 0,061. It increased $1,600. So the amount of increase is $1,600 over that original price of $21,399. Let's see if we can figure it out from those answers right there. So let's just knock off 2 zeros first. Call it a 4, so 16 under 214. These answers are so far away that I think we could probably figure it out without having to do that long division. 10% of that would be 21, right? 10% of 213 would be about 21, and we're not even really at 21. That would be 10%. 1% would be 2. 5%, well, if 10% is 21, right? 5% would be half of that, like 10. And we're somewhere between 10 and 21, right? So this is the 5% increase. This is a 10% increase. And we're 16, halfway between there. The only answer that's going to work is 7.5. So it has to be answer C. I know I went through that pretty quickly, but it's a non-calculator test. So let's do it another way, also kind of quick. I am just going to round this up to 214. So I'm going to move those into zeros, and I'm going to drop them off. So I got 16 divided by 214. And I don't have to be accurate because my answers are of so much difference between them. That fraction falls over. 214 goes into 16. It doesn't, so I add a 0. Still doesn't go in there, right? There's my 0. I add another 0. And it goes in there about 7 times to give me 1,400, right? 214, my pen's slowing down, times 7, it's 28, carry the 2, 9, 14, so 1,498. So I could see it's going to be 7% something. I don't have to go any further. Answer C is the only one that's going to be even close, 7% something. So correct answer, C. All right, moving right along. Question number 6, Bailey loaned Robin $1,500. Get my white pen back. At a simple annual interest rate of 7%. So I have $1,500. I'm going to convert this percentage, and I think of this 7% I think this thing is like a little arrow saying take it and move it over 1, 2 places, over 1, 2, so 0.07. 7% interest is a decimal. If she repays a loan after 2 years, how much would she have to pay? Well, after 1 year, it's going to be 14. I'm sorry, after 2 years, it's going to be 14%. Look at those answers. There's a little bit of difference between them. The 7 times 2 is the 14%. Then I'm going to do 1,500 times that 14%. That's going to be the amount of interest. I could do it times 1.14 for the full repayment amount, but I'm just going to find the interest and then add it to that 1,500. So times 0.14, 0, 0, 20, carry the 2, 6, placeholder, 0, 0, 5, 1, adding straight down, 0, 0, 0, 11. Then I'm over 1, 2 places, over 1, 2 places. So I pay $210 in interest on top of that 1,500. So the total amount I have to repay is the two added together, $1,710 right there. So correct answer, answer B. 40%. All right, let's see here. Let me get that pencil going. 40%. Again, I'm going to take that decimal and go over 1, 2 to get 0.4. 0.4 is equal to the fraction x over 30. What is the value of x? So 0.4 is equal to x over 30. That's the same thing as 4 over 10 or 0.4 over 1. One ratio equal to another ratio is called a proportion. I could cross multiply there. So I could take this times this and set it equal to that times that. So I have 0.4 times 30 is equal to 1 times x. 4 times 3 is 12. So I could see the only thing in there that works is answer C, 12. All right, moving right along. Number 8, a shirt that was priced at $48. This is similar to that last one. Is now selling for $36. Okay, what percentage is reduced? Well, I got to do the 48 minus the 36 to give me 12. So the amount reduced is $12. But I'm starting here. So the amount of reduction over where I start is going to give me my percentage. That's a fraction. I'm looking over there for percents. See if I can reduce it. Well, 6 will go into here twice. 6 will go into here 8 times. I can reduce it again. 2 goes into here once. 2 goes into here 4 times. So I got 1/4. 1/4. A quarter of a dollar is 25 cents. So a quarter is 25% right there. So answer D, correct answer right there. Problem number 9. If 700 people are at the concert, so we got 700 people and 70% of them are adults, how many children are there? So there are 2 ways to do this. I could figure out if this is the adults, 0.3 have to be the children. So I could figure out the total amount of adults, subtract that from the 700. Or if I know 1 minus 0.7 is 0.3, I could just take that 0.3 times that 700 to get 21, right? 3 times 7 is 21. And then because of the decimal, it's going to be 210 to find the total number of children. I would definitely circle this right here to make sure you don't miss it. Correct answer, answer C right there. All right, it's moving right along here. Problem number 10. So back to the interest problems. A bank is offering 4.2%. Again, I'm just going to underline that and convert it to a decimal, 0.042. Simple interest, which means I'm not going to compound it all, on savings accounts. How much interest will a bank pay on 20 grand in 2 years? So I have that $20,000 times the interest times the 2 years. So I'm just going to double my interest, multiply this by 2 to double it to get 84. So I'm getting 8.4% over the 2 years. Then I'm going to take that and multiply it by the amount, my principal. And it's asking me how much interest is it going to pay. So just multiply this out. I might be able to approximate it right here, but these are all pretty close to 2,000. And I know 10% is going to be 2,000. It is a little bit less than 10%. So if I had a guess, I'd guess between these two. Okay, so let's multiply it out. 0, 0, 0, 0, 8, placeholder, 0, 0, 0, 0, 16, double placeholder, 0, 0, 0 all the way across. I'm going to add these up, 0, 0, 0, 0, 8, 6, 1. And I am over 1, 2, 3. So I'm over 1, 2, 3. So the interest paid is 1,680. Answer C right there. All right, if you're still with me, well done. Make sure you're doing these problems. You can't just watch videos. You really have to do it. Just like juggling. If I explained to you how to juggle, you really wouldn't get any of it. You really got to sit down and practice to do well at anything. So that's the same thing with math. Number 11, if 16%, again, I'm going to just convert that right to a decimal, 0.16, is 80. 16% of a number is 80. What is 80% of that number? So 16% of a number is 80. I think we could do it this way. 16% is 80. What is 80% of that number? Well, how do I get from 0.16 to 80? So I'm saying 16 times what equals 80? Well, 16 times 5 is equal to 80. I can't just multiply across the top with 5. I got to multiply across the bottom by 5 as well. Now I'm multiplying by 1, doesn't change the value. 5 times 8 is 40 plus that extra 0. So 16 is to 80 as 80 is to 400. Correct answer, answer B, 400, right there. Problem number 12. 20 ounces of a drink mixture contains, so 20 ounces, oops, let me get that white pencil. 20 ounces contains 0.2% fruit juice and 80% water. So this is juice, water. It is further diluted by 20 ounces of additional water. So now I go from 20 to 40 ounces, but this new 40 ounces is made up of the original amounts. All right, so let's see if we can figure all this out. What are we looking for first? What is the percent of fruit juice in the diluted mixture? So I got to figure out the total amount of fruit juice in the 40 ounces. So I'm looking for the amount of fruit juice in the total of 40 ounces. Well, if this first is 20 times 0.2, that's going to give me 4 ounces of juice. 0.8 times 20 is 16 of water. And then the whole second 20 ounces I add is 20 more ounces of water. So there's a total of 40 ounces, 4 of which is fruit juice. So 4 over 40 is the same as 1 over 10. 1 over 10 is 10%. So the correct answer is answer A right there. As you start to write it out, read the problem, decode the paragraph, and start to put it into like a set of numbers, it's starting easier and easier to figure out. Problem number 13. Each year a restaurant rent is adjusted to the cost of living index. We're starting at $21.50, and then the rent is going up by 3.7%. Again, it's like an arrow shooting it over two places. So it's going up 0.037. What is the new rent per month? Before I do anything, let me see if I can figure this out. I'm starting here at $21.50. I'm going up a little amount. I mean, if you're paying it, I guess it always hurts. So this is less than $21.50. It can't be that. This is less than $21.50. It can't be that. I got 2 to choose from. It's a small increase. Could you imagine your rent going from $2,000 to $3,000? That's a gigantic increase, not 3%. That's like a 50% increase. So that doesn't make sense. So there's only one answer that makes sense. Answer D right here. If I want to do it all out, I would take this number times this number, multiply it all out. That will give me the amount of increase. I would take that amount of increase, add it to that to get the answer D. But that's a good little tip and trick. Always kind of scan your answers before you do a lot of work and potentially waste some time on a time test. All right, getting close. Another bell's going to ring. Number 14. Let's see here on problem 14. We have $880 for an iPad at 12%. We'll go right to a decimal. Discount. What was the original price of the iPhone? Oh, wait, sorry, I said iPad. I guess that was on my mind for Christmas. Dan paid $880 for an iPhone that had a 12% discount. So it was already discounted $880. See if I can eliminate any of these. Well, 12% is about 10%. 10% on a number would be about, $9 on top of this. Maybe a little bit more because it's 12, but certainly not $400 more like these. So we could eliminate these two. And the only one that really makes sense is going to be that 1,000. So just by a process of elimination, I can tell it's going to be 1,000. I can do a quick check. 1,000 times 0.12 is 120. So 1,000 minus 120 gives me that 880. So correct answer, answer A right there. Right, last question, number 15. In a restaurant, Bob orders an entree for $15.60. So I'm going to write that amount down, 15.6. Dessert for $4.50. Coffee for $1.15. And a water bottle for 75 cents. The sales tax on the meal is 8%. What should the tax be to this amount? Let's figure out the total amount first. So let me add this up. 10, carry the 1, 7, 12, 13, 20. Carry the 2, 7, 11, 12. Carry the 1, 22. So the total bill's $22. Again, we're going to take that, shoot it over 1, 2 to get 0.08. So I'm going to look over there, 22. I'm just going to take that 22 times 0.08. See, it's going to be a little bit more than $1.60. The only one that's going to work is answer B, but let's multiply it out. 16, carry the 1. 17, these are all zeros. My decimal place is over 2, 1, 2. So it's $1.76. Correct answer, answer B right there. And there we have it. Well done. If you stuck with me, if you have any questions, please post them in the comments. You could always get more information right here. Thank you for watching.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no, that's perfect.